over here if you'd like it at some point. Oh, well, it was nice of me to offer, right? What's that? Yeah, right. Then you'll have some questions. I think you can go whenever.
And hello, everybody, and welcome into Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the Victoria's Voice Foundation 200 for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Andrew Gallinger with Fox's own Xfinity play-by-play man, Adam Alexander. Adam, are you ready for tonight?
I'm ready, and I'm looking at this Camping World track description. And then I'm going back to when you and I were in the infield earlier today and looking at your eyes when you looked up in turns 1 and 2 during practice. that banking really got you, didn't it?
Yes, it did. I was here as a fan in '05, but that was before this banked reconfiguration. So this is awesome.
Well, this race will be great, too, because as we saw there in the race analysis, Stage 1, Stage 2, 30 laps. I mean, they're just going to fire off and go after it. That's what's great about the Camping World Truck Series as we take a look at the starting lineup.
We got John Hunter Nemechek and Kyle Busch on the front row, followed by Chandler Smith, Ben Rhodes on row 2.
Ben Rhodes, second at Daytona, won the first 2 races last year.
Ryan Preece, Zane Smith, the winner last time out at Daytona, row 3. And Matt Crafton making his 500th career start in this Camping World Truck Series, heads off row number 5.
See Derek Kraus here, Tyler Ankrum, driver that's won in the Camping World Truck Series. There was the guy you mentioned in the Open, Matt DiBenedetto, going to have to come through the field tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be fun for him. And there we see Todd Bodine, your colleague of Fox, making his first of 6 starts this year to get to 800 starts across all 3 of NASCAR's top series.
This is about the young drivers and the future of NASCAR. Todd Bodine is 58, Andrew. I mean, he's got a lot to manage tonight.
Yeah. Well, and there you see on the graphic 220 career starts just in the truck series. So that gives you perspective across the trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. All that Todd Bodine's done in his outstanding career.
And you think just across the board what his family has meant to the history of NASCAR. His brother Brett has worked for NASCAR for many years. And, you think about Jeffrey and Jeff at the time when he was going by Jeff, winning for Hendrick Motorsports way back in the day to kind of keep their doors open. That horrific crash he had in the Truck Series race at Daytona more than 20 years ago. That family across the board has meant so much to NASCAR. It will be neat later this year to see Todd Bodine get to career start number 800.
Yes, it definitely will. And we were talking before we came on air in our open that we did for social media that this is going to be a real feather in the cap for Todd Bodine to be up against these young guns and a really good gauge on the other side for these young guns to how do they stack up to a guy with the pedigree of a Todd Bodine?
Well, and the other thing is I mentioned off the top there when we were looking at the race analysis, the fact that the stages are so short and aggression is the name of the game. Something tells me Todd is not going to be aggressive. He's going to feel it out because, hey, let's keep in mind, these teams only got 20 minutes of practice today. And so there wasn't a lot of opportunity to reacclimate yourself to the race vehicle if you're Todd Bodine. I think he uses stage 1 and stage 2, try to stay out of trouble, get his legs under him one more time, and then hopefully be in a position, as he talked about, to get a top 10 in that final stage.
Absolutely, and then you add into the fact that we had a little bit of rain right after the practice and qualifying session for these trucks leading into Xfinity practice and qualifying. Not enough to lose the track, but then you've also got, we're out west. It's dusty.
Right.
It's the Wild West. Anything can happen out here.
Something else I noticed here, John Hunter Nemechek wins the pole. He takes the outside lane to start this race. As we look at the 1.5 mile numbers for Matt Crafton, he's won a lot of places on the intermediates, never here at Las Vegas.
And that is very surprising. I mentioned earlier about losing in Daytona, and now we want to check on the 4 and the 51.
How about the difference?
Are the 4 and the 51 going to be okie dokie on the start, in your mind?
Well, I think they will. They'll work together. In fact, I almost wonder if John Hunter Nemechek doesn't take the outside lane and then pull down in front of Kyle Busch to start this race. Eckes wins here in the fall, leading only 4 laps, a much more dominant performance for John Hunter when he was able to get the victory here one season ago.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Which line goes at the start? Pace truck pulls off. We are just about ready to go with the Camping World Truck Series at Las Vegas. And they come to the restart zone, and we are green in Las Vegas. John Hunter Nemechek gets the jump over Kyle Busch on the outside. And just like you said, Adam, John Hunter pulled down to the bottom in front of Kyle Busch. Let's see what they can do coming out of 2.
3 wide? Are you kidding me? Did we say it was going to be aggressive, Andrew? Here we are.
Right away out of turn 2, 3 wide, as we see them coming through 3 and 4.
That outside lane was Zane Smith, who, of course, won at Daytona a couple of weeks ago. And Ben Rhodes right up there in the mix as well.
Yeah, as you see, still some scrambling about mid-pack. You've got the first, now 6 trucks, single file. And there you've got the KBM teammates going at it. There's Kyle Busch along the outside. Kyle Busch leads at the line.
How much of a factor is the draft? He pulled outside, got a push, and he takes that 51 truck to the lead.
And you've always seen that these trucks just punch such a big hole in the air. And now that's very likely what helped Kyle Busch get out front.
I have always loved watching the trucks, but in particular here at Las Vegas. It's like a tighter quartered Daytona or Talladega. You're moving around, you're in the draft, you're getting a push. As we take a look here at the 52, that's Stuart Friesen.
Yeah, Stuart Friesen up and very, very close to the wall out of turn 2 last time around. Didn't look like he hit anything, but you could see dust flying up next to that 52 truck, because we've got a battle here.
Carson Hocevar getting pushed by Christian Eckes in the 98, the 15, Tanner Gray.
And you look at Carson Hocevar, he's with a new team this year with Nice Motorsports last year. Had a strong season. It's going to be interesting to see what he's able to do, especially now on a 1.5 miles that's a lot of the tracks that the Truck Series has this year.
Well, and Carson with that new team, as you talked about, he's got a great veteran crew chief in Phil Gould, and he got a top 10 finish out of the gates at Daytona, so that's awesome for him. And here's another young driver that I love to watch race, and that is Chandler Smith, who was 21st at Daytona, didn't get the start to the season he wanted there, but running top 5 so far tonight.
And here we see a battle. It's Todd Bodine up against Chris Wright in that 44 truck. Bodine on the bottom, not able to carry the speed that Wright does on the outside. Your early impressions, Adam, does it seem like one lane is stronger than the others these first 7 laps in?
I really feel like that depends on who is working with you. I do believe as the night goes on, and I'm sure these drivers are using, the early portion of this race as a bit of a learning opportunity to figure out where they're going to be later. But to me, the moves we've seen for position have come with help in the draft. And so you need someone to be pushing you. And here's the other thing. There's a lot of side-by-side racing early in this race. And give a nod to Carson Hocevar. I mean, he really looks good going after our pole setter for a spot in the top 5.
As we go to commercial, Hocevar gets loose underneath John Hunter Nemechek.
How you feel, man?
Good.
Good stuff. Really good.
Yeah, that felt like a really good opener.
Yeah, I thought it was a great opening segment. Yep. You feel good about our balance and everything and the back and forth?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And do these yellow boxes, does the yellow border around drivers mean battles?
It does. It does. And the other thing I would tell you, Andrew, if you want to work this in, Kyle Busch has now led in his last 17 starts. That dates to 2018. So every time he's been in a truck race, he's led in the last 17 starts he's made. And he's led in every start here with the exception of his first start in 2001 when he was 16 years old.
Okay.
So those are some things if you want to work them in.
Okay.
But we got a new leader now. Look at that, Zane Smith.
Yeah. Continuing his dominance.
It's just fun.
Yeah. And we'll see on the monitor when they come back from break, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think.
Okay. Oh, okay. And welcome back, everybody, to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Andrew Gallinger and Adam Alexander with you for the Victoria's Voice 200. Daytona's winner, Zane Smith, out front early, 14 laps in. Ben Rhodes, Chandler Smith, top 3. Now we're taking a look. How did Zane Smith get it done over hometown Kyle Busch?
I had said so much of the success here when it comes to making a pass is about the guy behind you. I'm not sure that Ben Rhodes was really given a shove there. Zane just went low and got the top spot away.
Yeah, and there you saw Kyle Busch even lost second place in the corner to Ben Rhodes. You wonder with these cooler temperatures, you'd expect it to be more grip, but maybe was Kyle Busch's team maybe this early on not prepared? It'll be interesting to see how many of these teams have to make drastic adjustments when we get to the caution.
So it's not where he wants it to be, but I think since we're in Vegas, I'll go ahead and admit I would have lost the bet if I had to pick the Kyle Busch Motorsports running order 15, 20 laps into this race, and it went Chandler Smith, Kyle Busch, John Hunter Nemechek. I never would have believed that, Andrew.
No, definitely not. Especially Chandler Smith being the top of the KBM guys. You saw Chandler Smith, John Hunter Nemechek being the winner a season ago over Kyle Busch. And you and I were talking in break. Kyle Busch has led a lap here at Vegas in all but one of his starts. We've got trouble. A truck slow.
That's Blaine Perkins in the 13 that's got that, or the 9 rather, that's got that tire rub.
Yeah. Not sure how that happened, but it looks like it's one that's significant, as we've got a battle here for second. Chandler Smith and Ben Rhodes, with Kyle Busch joining the party as we see Busch loose off of turn number 4.
And, back behind them, we talked about Carson Hocevar, 12th to 5th in the early portion of this race.
Just goes to show, and I know you were talking with Michael Waltrip earlier on the Xfinity broadcast. He had mentioned that it seemed like to him that you could run anywhere. We're starting to see that happen, but we're also seeing what happens if you get too aggressive in a different line too early, with both John Hunter Nemechek and Kyle Busch having issues with ill-handling trucks here early on.
Give a nod to Tanner Gray, who has worked his way through the field. He's up in the top 5 now. The Fords starting to show their hand. Zane Smith is leading. Tanner Gray in 5th.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting. You think about the Toyotas. So much dominance by KBM. You haven't had an avenue to necessarily talk about the Fords or the Chevys being dominant here in recent years. Maybe that trend's changing now. We'll find out as this race goes along, as there is 10 to go here in stage number 1.
Another Ford up there in the top 10, Ryan Preece. We talked about him in our open, the fact that he won in his first ever start last year at Nashville Super Speedway, and he's starting to put the pieces together, up to 9th in the running order. Hocevar now 4th. He continues to impress.
And coming up from 12th, we've seen Hocevar all over the track making passes as Zane Smith continues to lead 22 in at Vegas as they are slip sliding away in Las Vegas.
Really, really good job in and out of break, Andrew. Really good.
Thank you.
Yep, really good. Just dropping it off very clean, following the monitor, but giving a little information. Good stuff, man.
Thanks.
Up, caution.
Up.
Blaine Perkins finally got him. So this is interesting. You get a caution here. You're going to get another caution in a handful of laps. Do you pit here, especially if you're Kyle Busch, right? Knowing, because he's not running for points, knowing then that everybody else will probably pit at the end of the stage, and then you'll cycle to the front. So I would say we'll get a split here of guys that make a pit stop and then stay out to get the track position for stage 2 versus guys who stay out, try to get the stage points or win the stage, and then pit when the stage is done.
And what's the tire allotment for these guys, Adam?
I would say it's 5 sets total, 4 in the pits, but let me ask.
How do you think we should call the pit stop, since we obviously won't hear the
if we don't
pit
hear them,
reporters?
and I don't guess we will, I think we can just call them ourselves,
Okay.
So they get 4 sets total. What they started with, 3 in the pits.
Okay. I think for the most part, this is a smooth track, right? I mean, there's that bump down in turn
Yeah.
one.
Although I think they started to get a little more wear. You know, I mean, it's not what it was last week, right? But
Yeah.
but whoa,
Ooh.
whoa. That was Ben Rhodes, I think.
Oh, okay.
How's everybody doing over there? You think I need any makeup or anything? I might go out after the show tonight.
Get ready, the Big East Tournament on Fox and FS1, March 9th through 12th, presented by Jeep. The road to March Madness starts with the 2022 Big East Tournament on FS1. Andrew Gallinger and Adam Alexander back here with you at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Adam, we've got the first caution of the night for a blown tire by Blaine Perkins. You and I were talking off break, and oh, that's why. A spin from the blown tire that happened early. So Blaine Perkins spinning around as they come into pit road. Taking a look from our vantage point, Adam, what are you seeing?
Well, I was curious if they were going to make pit stops here. And then you stay out at the end of the stage to gain some track position. And most everybody goes ahead and gets their service. You got 3 sets of tires in the pits. So conventional wisdom says you pit right around the end of each stage, and that leaves you 1 set for that final stage that is over 70 laps. And we'll look at the race off pit road. Zane Smith came in leading this thing, and it looks like Tanner Gray, another one of the Fords, is going to be the first off pit road.
Interesting. It'll be interesting to see, was it a 2-tire stop?
Yeah, and you know, as we look one more time at what brought out our first caution of the night, this is going to be quite the shootout down inside of 10 laps to go in the stage when we go back green.
Yes, it is. We'll be back. Victoria's Voice 200, Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
So some guys stayed out. It looks like Chandler Smith, Ben Rhodes, Howard, Wood, and Timmy Hill all stayed out. Jordan Anderson.
Oh. Oh, okay, and this is
Yeah.
how you can tell.
Yeah, now some of those guys might pit the
lit
second
up.
time around, so it might not. So yeah, I mean some of those guys did come and pit.
Okay.
Like Jordan Anderson came, he might, but so the top four stayed out.
Okay.
And Wood, he's a young guy. What's his story? He's had a handful of starts, but he's never had a top 5 finish. So. Well, we'll find out right here. What tires mean a little bit because, well, you're only going to have like 3 laps though. This is going to be like a 3-lap shootout because we got 5 right now. They'll get 4 this time and should get to 1 to go. So there should be 3 laps of green.
Okay.
'62 Bodine speeding and the '52 Stuart Friesen uncontrolled tire.
Okay.
You guys, does anybody smell anything in here at all? She took her shoes off. There's more where that came from, Adrian.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. One to go from the first caution of the night for the Camping World Truck Series. Blaine Perkins looped it around coming out of turn 2. We had a handful of guys stay out under that last caution. Chandler Smith, Ben Rhodes, Colby Howard, and Jack Wood. But Adam, we also had the veteran, Todd Bodine, busted for speeding on pit road. Stuart Friesen, caught for an uncontrolled tire. That's going to set them back when they pitted now to get an advantage at the end of this stage, but now it's only going to be 4 laps to go, and they don't have the extra tires to gamble at the end of this stage. They have to stay out.
Okay, Ben Rhodes not happy with. All right, and they're on the front row for the restart.
This is going to be good, and we're not even to the end of the first stage, and we've got guys fired up at each other as they come back for green into the restart zone. And we are back underway. Ben Rhodes, Chandler Smith. Oh, contact! Trouble going into turn 1. Big wreck going into turn 1. Trucks piled up at the top. Oh, and it is Colby Howard up front, stayed out. His truck is all mangled.
Well, I'm going to guess that's going to end the opening stage, right? Because we took the green flag with only 3 to go. And Colby Howard, as you mentioned, stayed out on those older tires. You got guys right behind him that took tires that are trying to get to the front. They fan out. Chase Purdy also gets some damage in that restart. And so does Haley Deegan. Yeah. And that's not good for Haley, who started the year at Daytona with a 17th place finish. Would have wanted much more here tonight and already banged up.
Haley, this is going to be her 3rd difficult finish at Las Vegas in her rookie year for the 2 races here last season. She finished 28th in this race 1 year ago and 31st in the fall race. Reminder, these truck series are only here this one time in 2022. They will not be back here for the playoffs. So Haley Deegan having to deal with Las Vegas Motor Speedway being her kryptonite early in her truck career.
And I think Haley and Chase will be able to get those trucks repaired and get back out. I'm not so sure about the 91 of Colby Howard as we look at the replay.
And there you see a lot of guys scrambling. You saw Tanner Gray at the very bottom. 3 wide. Oof.
Zane Smith also got some damage on the right front.
Contact with Colby Howard initially, and that sent Howard to the right. It's not often you see that, especially when you go into a corner.
Matt Crafton got a piece of that. Looked like by that right rear tire.
Yeah. It looked like to me, maybe that was Colby Howard. Let's see that again. Oh, yep. Howard just got a little bit loose and came down.
You know, it's easy on those older tires to spin them a little bit.
That was Todd Bodine. Snuck right through there.
Maybe it's good that he got the speeding penalty because it pushes him back and he's able to stay behind the mess on the restart.
Yeah. As here we have the final lap of stage 1. And with it being the final lap, this stage will end under caution, so it is going to be Ben Rhodes taking stage number 1. Let's take a look at our biggest movers. Jack Wood up 21 positions. Holmes and Anderson up 13. Dean Thompson in the 40 up 11. Thad Moffitt and Carson Hocevar both up 6. Kaz Gralla up 5. And then you've got those that were involved in the accident down by double digits. But then John Hunter Nemechek down 7 from his start through this first stage. Tough first stage for the KBM driver. And coming to the stage 1 green and white checker, Ben Rhodes under caution takes stage 1 in Las Vegas.
Ends up being a great stage for Tanner Gregg. It's some much-needed stage points. Same for Matt Crafton.
Stage 1 ending with melee. We'll be back. Andrew Gallinger and Adam Alexander with you from Las Vegas. Trucks on FS1.
Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff. Thanks. You want to keep the ball for the second stage? I think you should. You're doing great, man.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. You don't need my help.
All righty.
Hey, will you make me a coffee, please? Unbelievable. What do you think, Matt? You doing all right, buddy? Okay. I like that jacket, man. You're going to have to. What time do you leave, Adrian? Why are you still here? If you can be on the clock, I mean, be on the clock. That's what I say. That's right. It's the name of the game. Man. I don't know. I'd like to see Haley's truck next to Zane Smith's, because I feel like they had the exact same impact in the exact same spot, right on that right front.
Yeah.
Hers might be a little worse, but that was a fun opening stage.
Yeah, it was. Had a lot of action, and like Michael predicted, they're all over.
Right. Yep. Really good stuff.
And if it's that just in the first 30 laps, I can't wait for the final
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
104.
So here's the thing. You know, Jack Wood, whatever, right? But Ben Rhodes and Chandler Smith will pit here. Everybody else will stay out, and they will, they'll restart outside the top 20, right? So that'll be an interesting thing to watch.
FS1 back with you at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. End of stage 1. Andrew Gallinger, Adam Alexander with you from the Fox Sports 1 booth. Adam, you and I were just talking off air before we came back on. Ben Rhodes and Chandler Smith did not pit earlier. They're going to have to pit here. By my count, you've got 19. Excuse me, sorry, I'm not good at math. That's why I'm a communicator. I suck at math. Let's say 16 from my estimate, correct me if I'm wrong, are going to pass these guys up when they pit. They're potentially going to be way behind going into stage 2. And we saw a lot of calamity in stage 1, so maybe that's not the worst place for them.
Well, and what I would say is I think the strategy worked out for them, because ultimately the reason they stayed out is to try to win the stage. And the caution allowed them to do that on the older tires. Now they get the fresh tires, and we'll see if they can make anything out of it. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow, Andrew.
Yeah, there we see a promo for the race you'll be calling on FS1. The NASCAR Xfinity Series Alsco 300 tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern on FS1. you heard Chris Lawson, crew chief for Zane Smith, telling him, okay, we'll just rebound after getting caught up in that big one going into turn 1 off that restart with 3 laps to go in the first stage. And you see the right front damage. You and I were talking in break, Adam. You said you were interested to see what a side-by-side comparison looks like between Smith and Haley Deegan. Looks like Deegan got it a little bit worse.
Yeah, she actually, had a hole poked in that right front. Not maybe quite as bad for Zane Smith, but there's no doubt they're going to have a lot of work to do to get him in a good place from an aerodynamic standpoint. Jack Wood, who had a great run in that opening stage, he was one of those drivers that stayed out, maintains track position, gets a top 5 finish. And here are the 2 guys that finished 1-2. They played the game perfectly. They had the track position on the restart. They get the caution. They get the stage win, the stage points for Chandler Smith, who also finished up front. And now they pay the price starting deeper in the field. And as we pointed out, you got to be careful, right? Because this stage, after everything cycles through, is going to be less than 25 laps. Not a lot of time to get to the front. And
and you
that
see
was
on the replay here, Jack Wood's tire changer goes down. We'll be back to Vegas for the restart. 101 laps to go. Will you share those videos to Twitter and tag me in them too?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not the service isn't that good, so I'll do it. Yep.
Okay. Cool.
I want to check too to make sure there's not any kind of I don't think there would be any infringement, on us being at the track and video, but sometimes so I want to ask and make sure too. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Sometimes they're tricky about that, But I'm gonna do a photo for sure because that's easy. You know what I mean?
Cool.
So here they go. They're doctoring up this restart. Look at them. You're doing great, Andrew. This is fun, man.
Thank you.
This is really fun.
I need to remember to call when they do the choose roll too. That's it.
Yeah, that'll be big.
1 to go, right?
Yeah, and so far, to start the race, Nemechek took the outside lane. On that last restart, Chandler Smith took the outside. So the first 2 restart we've had, the control vehicle has taken the outside lane.
Okay. Welcome back to Las Vegas. Andrew Gallinger, Adam Alexander with you. The Stage 1 results for the Camping World Truck Series. Ben Rhodes, Chandler Smith, Tanner Gray, Jack Wood, Carson Hocevar, Matt Crafton, Kyle Busch, John Hunter Nemechek, Ty Majeski, and Ryan Priest. Adam, you and I were just talking. It's going to be very interesting. What happens now is welcome back. And there you see the Stage 1 results. But Adam, you and I were talking as we get ready to go back to green for the Camping World Truck Series here at Las Vegas. The KBM trucks, been the control trucks on the start. Looks like it's going to be the same again as you've got Chandler Smith on the outside. No, actually, that's according to NASCAR scoring, that's Tanner Gray.
Yeah, Tanner Gray and Carson Hocevar now inherit the front row after the pit stops. And as we look at that last restart here, you hope this doesn't happen again to begin the second stage. Things can get crazy on restarts here at Las Vegas.
Yeah, they can. We saw a truck just get loose being on worn tires. So you got to wonder, will that happen again with Tanner Gray and Carson Hocevar?
Well, and now all the guys up front, guys and gals up front, are on equal tires. And so that I would think that should help on this restart. And as I look at it, Ben Rhodes and Chandler Smith, who made their pit stop there after staying out when the caution came out prior to the stage one in, they're going to restart 18th and 19th. And I really don't think that puts them at a big disadvantage when you consider, especially for Ben Rhodes. He's won a stage. He loses some track position, but plenty of time for him to find his way back inside the top 10, get stage points in stage 2, and put himself in a spot where he can go out and win this race at the end of the night.
Definitely. And as we come to one to go before we'll get the green flag, lights off on the pace truck, let's take a look at the fastest laps for you. Chandler Smith in that 18, 177 miles an hour. Christian Eckes just behind, 176.37. Hocevar, a 176.34, 24 for Tanner Gray. And you've got Kyle Busch and Zane Smith in there. So the top 6 and up and over 177 miles an hour to start this race early on, as you're looking at Derek Kraus in the 19.
You know, another driver to watch on this restart, and we just saw him there, John Hunter Nemechek. Haven't said his name a lot since early on. You've had a pit stop. You got an adjustment. It appears the outside lane is the preferred lane on restarts. That's where Nemechek is. I'm anxious to see what he's got on this restart and see if he can make something out of stage 2.
Definitely. You look at Gray and Hocevar, no tires on the front row. Then you've got the hungry Kyle Busch right behind him in 4th, but then you've got guys like Ty Majeski and then Ben Rhodes and Chandler Smith deep in the field as we come back to the Geico restart zone. Stage 2 underway at Las Vegas. Gray with a good push on the outside from Kyle Busch. Busch wants to go to the outside, tries it, gets to the outside but can't clear Tanner Gray as we see a 3-wide battle behind, and John Hunter Nemechek gets loose. Contact that time. Ty Majeski against John Hunter Nemechek, and it looked like to me at first glance that rubbed the lettering off of the left rear tires of that Ford truck.
Well, we'll keep an eye on Nemechek, but so far so good, up to 3rd on this restart after going from the 6th position.
And we see Derek Kraus making a move up top. Not able to get a lot of momentum as you saw Matt Mills there in the middle, as you see a battle between Stuart Friesen and there's Christian Eckes in the 98. Oh, yep, definitely. You can see the letters rubbed off the left rear for Nemechek as Nemechek is inside Kyle Busch.
Well, the best thing for him here is how short this stage is after the caution laps to end stage 1. That will help Nemechek. He doesn't have to nurse it for a long time, but you wonder if that's having a negative impact on the handling of his truck as he's going in the wrong direction, and here comes Kyle Busch by Tanner Gray to 2nd. He's looking for the lead.
He is. There's Carson Hocevar trying to hold the hometown champion off. Is it going to be enough this time off of 4? Yes. Kyle Busch not able to pull off the slide job. Hocevar leads at the line. Let's see what Kyle Busch does going into 1 this time. As you see Nemechek at the bottom making a move against Tanner Gray. Not able to do anything that time through 1 and 2. still almost even down the backstretch into 3. Nemechek makes the pass into 3.
Hey, by the way, Ben Rhodes had to make that pit stop after winning stage 1. Look at him now, up to 6th, Andrew.
Wow, let's take a look at the replay here. This is when the contact was made. Yeah, there you see. Yep, John Hunter Nemechek, and my mistake, folks, it was not Christian Eckes. It was the 66 of Jordan Anderson. Anderson's truck looks a lot like those Thor Sports silver trucks. My apologies that times, folks, as we are back here to live action. And it's the 22 of Austin Wayne Self, Tyler Ankrum. As there you see Kyle Busch going for the lead against Carson Hocevar. Busch makes the pass.
Crossover, here comes Hocevar.
And Hocevar with the crossover into 3. And Hocevar back out in front. This time he's able to gap him. We saw when Busch got by last time in 2. Hocevar was able to get to Busch's back bumper. Hocevar made sure he got away this time as they battled through 1 and 2, getting around the lap truck of Haley Deegan.
Hey, I like what I'm seeing out of Carson Hocevar tonight. Starts the race in 12th, very quickly drives himself up inside the top 5, and now, after getting stage points, right, is able to get the lead on the restart, and he's racing one of the best in the business, the all-time wins leader in Kyle Busch, and so far is holding his own against a 2-time Cup Series champion.
Definitely, as there you see Kyle Busch go back to the bottom. You saw sparks from underneath that 51 bottoming out a little bit. We talked earlier, the bump in turn 1. As there you see Busch and Hocevar. As we had a little bit of action. That is Tyler Ankrum and Grant Infinger. And there's Todd Bodine going to the inside of Ankrum.
He's getting racy, Andrew,
Yeah.
Todd Bodine.
Been out of the truck for a long time. Had a lot of money and pride put up on the line from Marcus Lemonis, the CEO of Camping World, that offered him this opportunity to get to his 800th NASCAR National Series start. And there you see Bodine looking pretty smooth as you see Hocevar and Nemechek battling it.
Now, if Nemechek gets by here, this will be a flashback to what we saw so much in 2021. The boss man racing one of his drivers that you feel like has a real shot to win the championship, and that being John Hunter Nemechek. They spent a lot of time 1-2 last year.
Yep, and you think Kyle Busch Motorsports. Let me take a look at my stat sheet here. Kyle Busch, a 3-time Las Vegas winner, and Busch has been top 2 in 18 of his last 19 starts. We mentioned the only time he hasn't, rookie year, back in 01.
When he was 16 years old. That's crazy, isn't it?
To think, second place as a 17-year-old, and just kept that up over these last 2 decades. As you look at Ben Rhodes, currently 6th, as low as 18th on the night. He's been up front. He's led 5 laps on the night. As battles continue here at Las Vegas, Andrew Gallinger and Adam Alexander on the call for the Camping World Truck Series on FS1.
Good. What do you think?
Awesome.
It's going good, man. You're doing a
Yeah.
great job. Great
Thank
job.
you.
And the race has been entertaining.
Yeah,
There's always something to talk about, you know?
Any specific part of doing play-by-play for this that you feel like I haven't hit on enough? Or?
No, I think it's good. I think you've got a good balance of what's going on in the race versus, the historic perspective of what's happening. And, I think the one thing I like to do is continue to try and follow up on stories. So like Ben Rhodes and Chandler Smith had to start deep in the field after pitting. Where are they? Todd Bodine, got the penalty. Where is he? Stuart Friesen got the penalty. Where is he? Matt Crafton making his 500th start. We talked about that. So just continuing to pay off stories from earlier in the race.
Oh, as it looks like 43, that's Thad Moffitt. Yeah, and circling back to stories you think can be good at any time, or?
Yeah, well, I think just being mindful that every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and so and sometimes there are things that we just anticipate going in that we need to pay off, whether like Matt Crafton 500th or those kinds of things. Some of them don't develop until you get into the race, and then continuing to follow up. And it's
Todd Bodine.
Wow.
Whoa. There's a story.
Yeah, I'd say. I wonder where he was running. 17th.
Okay. Looked like he just got loose on his own. At least from
I saw it late.
Okay.
Now here we are again. 5 to go on the stage. Do you pit here? What do you do? I don't know.
Oh, yep, just got loose.
I don't think this will end the stage. I think you get at least one lap out of it. Wasn't a real hard hit. I'm surprised he hit, really.
Yeah.
You know it?
And still in break, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. They pitted. I bet a bunch of guys stayed out. Yeah, look, a bunch of guys stayed out here.
And
So
we're back here at Las Vegas, under caution, Todd Bodine spun it around in turn 4, smacked the right rear of that 62 Camping World truck. As you've got a handful of guys on pit road. Kyle Busch, John Hunter Nemechek with 4 to go here in the stage 2 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And Adam, you and I were talking earlier that things could definitely change. Boy, they have. Let's take a look at the coming off of pit road.
Well, Kyle Busch wins that race off pit road, and that's going to afford him not only track position here, but likely when we begin the final stage, because, we had something similar play out here to what we had toward the end of stage 1. Now there are fewer laps left here than what we had toward the end of stage 1 when the caution came out, but you have guys that pit, you have guys that stay out. We're going to get a restart here probably with a couple of laps to go. I would say that they could get the 1 to go this time, which would be at 3 to go. That's going to leave you a couple of laps to go in the stage. and some guys that stay out and play the track position game, it'll make this restart very fun and once again could reward someone with a stage win and some much-needed stage points.
That it will, Adam, but keep in mind, we've seen in all the cautions tonight, those guys that have stayed out have not fared well, as there we see the damage for Todd Bodine, and that looks significant. Repairable, but from my vantage point, it's going to be difficult for Todd Bodine to possibly have a good run to finish out the rest of this race.
Well, he said before we went green tonight, goal was a top 10. Still attainable maybe, right? I mean, if he's able to stay on the lead lap here, and he has so far, you get the damage repaired. And, this track has a history of producing some pretty big accidents. Even though it's a mile and a half, we've seen how tight the racing can be. I don't know that you would say you get a big one here, but we have had some significant accidents over the years. Something like that happens, it could open the door for Todd Bodine to get that top 10, maybe a top 15 despite the damage. And when you look at our scoring monitor here, the top 6 vehicles stayed out, did not pit. And among them, Ben Rhodes. He played this same strategy, stage 1, and got the win. Can Ben Rhodes do it again, sweep the night, and then come at the end of the stage, get his tires, and be ready for the stretch run?
Yep, and we are seeing from our stats, guys, it's going to be 1 lap to go under green to finish stage number 2. We were talking before we saw and we were talking before about the challenges the guys that stayed out have had. With 1 to go, it's going to be interesting because we've seen it happen on the initial restart going into 1. So just because it's 1 lap to go doesn't mean that Ben Rhodes or Tanner Gray might not have an issue. We've seen tonight already be wild. No reason why this final lap in stage 2 and then the ensuing 70 plus for the final stage aren't going to be just as wild as you see the lights off of that Toyota pace truck.
Well, and the question becomes here maybe, who's the better pusher? Tanner Gray takes the outside lane, and that's really been the dominant choice tonight when you talk about those that are in control of the race. But that puts Ben Rhodes down low, and he will have behind him Ty Majeski, who's probably a pretty good pusher here in this situation as they link up. And this will be a very good restart here, and I would want to make sure that I'm very confident in the guy behind me and the push I get in a 1-lap shootout scenario.
Yeah, but Adam, you got to think, it's not going to be his teammate behind him for Ben Rhodes is coming to the restart zone. Tanner Gray on the outside, the control truck. Ben Rhodes, and getting a good push is Rhodes against Jordan Anderson. Looks like it's Ben Rhodes out to the lead. Looks like he got a little bit squirrely there in 1 as we are the final lap of stage 2. There's Kyle Busch pushing his way into second off of 2.
Kyle Busch, great restart from that inside lane. Can he come back and get the stage win?
Coming to the outside. Kyle Busch against Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes gonna hold him off for the stage 2 win. Goes to the bottom. Stage 2 to Ben Rhodes over the hometown champion Kyle Busch. Rhodes sweeps stage 1 and 2. ThorSport dominant to begin the night here in Sin City. Can ThorSport cash out with the victory tonight? And Ben Rhodes, we'll find out in about 70 laps. Sin City NASCAR, Las Vegas on FS1. Andrew Gallinger and Adam Alexander will be back.
Yeah, I'm going to run to the restroom.
All right.
Great stuff, Andrew. Great.
Thank you.
Adrian, you're in if I don't make it back.
Thanks. Good night. Nice to meet you. Thanks. Yeah.
So 2 times a driver has swept stage 1 and stage 2 and gone on to win the race here, both Kyle Busch.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
Yes, it is always a good time. Vince Welch on the main FS1 Truck Series broadcast for the 2022 Camping World Truck Series Las Vegas. Andrew Gallinger and Adam Alexander with you on this broadcast for the Truck Series. Under caution to end stage 2, Ben Rhodes took both stages. And Adam, you were mentioning to me a break. Both times that a driver has won both stages and gone on to win the race here at Las Vegas, Kyle Busch. 2 times that happened.
Ironically enough, Ben Rhodes beats Kyle Busch to win stage 2. He gets his service. Does he have what it takes to rally back in this final stage like he did in stage 2 after playing that strategy to get the stage 1 victory? So I really, this is going to be compelling to watch what Ben Rhodes is able to do here. He'll restart once again back around the 20th spot.
Now let's take a look at your lap leaders. Kyle Busch, 19 laps led on over 3 different occasions. Zane Smith, 14 laps. Ben Rhodes, 9. Carson Hocevar, also at 9. Tanner Gray, 7 laps led. Chandler Smith, 3 laps. And John Hunter Nemechek, 1 lap. One thing you see off of the lap leaderboard, Adam, Kyle Busch Motorsports, dominant. Kyle Busch ready to go to that Vegas pay window here at home.
Hey, are you surprised? You were reading the lap leaders there. Are you surprised at all that Kyle Busch has led the most laps? It feels quiet tonight.
Not at all. Yeah. Yeah, we wouldn't be watching a truck race at Vegas if we weren't talking about Kyle Busch leading the most laps.
KBM 1, 2, 3 to start the final stage.
Get ready. The final stage of action coming up.
I felt like these first 2 stages went pretty quick. Even though we had some cautions, it feels like it went by pretty quick.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Andrew. This is fun, man.
Thank you. Yes, it is. Yeah. One of these days, it would be fun if we could maybe do this for the Coke 600.
Oh, yeah.
Since you're in Charlotte and would be able to be there on Sunday.
Yep. Yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be a long night, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you this, but a friend of mine, Jim Cruz, he was a basketball coach, and he was maybe going to do some stuff for the Big Ten Network, but he had never done TV. And so he would come over. This is when I lived in Indiana. He'd come over, and we'd go to my basement. And I had a video camera, and I'd set it up, and we would, like, practice in my basement.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So yeah, I wasn't doing things totally wrong when I was 8 or 9 years old and just calling games off,
No.
races off of the TV.
I think everybody's done that.
Matt Crafton, haven't heard of him tonight, all the way back in 28.
Yeah, he had that one little run when he got up there and mixed it up a little bit. I wonder if he was kind of in the middle of that crash there at the end of stage 1. I wonder if he kind of got hit in the right side. I wonder if he got dinged up a little bit there. Todd Bodine did lose a lap.
But good news for him. First truck 1 lap down with the calamity we've been seeing.
Right, absolutely. Yep.
My only question with that would be, how is his truck aerodynamically? Should he be able to get back on the lead lap?
No doubt. No doubt.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. Andrew Gallinger, Adam Alexander. Let's take a look at the Blue Emu race summary. Kyle Busch leading 7 leaders, 10 lead changes. As we get ready to go back to green, Kyle Busch leads him to the green for the restart. 68 laps to go here in Las Vegas. The KBM teammates pushing each other out front, and now it's 1, 2, 3, KBM.
Kyle got the lead there from the inside lane, Andrew. Surprising to me. We've seen the leader take the outside virtually every time.
This is the first time tonight we've seen the inside be able to have a run. And look at that scramble in the back. As we see the top 5 starting to thin out. Busch, Nemechek, Smith, Chandler Smith, Hocevar, and Zane Smith.
Zane Smith got the damage on the accident into stage 1. He's back in the top 5. Stuart Friesen had a penalty. He's in the top 10. Really good effort by those drivers to battle back.
And Adam, you and I were talking earlier. I'm just seeing that Matt Crafton up 5 spots from the restart. He was 28th, now up to 23rd. This is the first time we've talked about him all night. Matt Crafton making his 500th Truck Series start. Struggled in the first race of the year 2 weeks ago at Daytona. Maybe Matt Crafton can pull something out in these final 66 laps.
What about Stuart Friesen? And now Ryan Preece up there making a move for a spot in the top 5. He's been quiet tonight, but you got the feeling he would rally. Matt DiBenedetto in the top 10 running 9th late in this race.
And Matt DiBenedetto, only his second Truck Series race. DiBenedetto, no stranger to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, running a handful of times for the Wood Brothers in the Cup Series. But you gotta think, these trucks are a different animal compared to the Gen 6 cars that the Cup Series had. As we see a battle for the lead between KBM teammates. Busch on the high side, Nemechek on the bottom, and does Smith go up the middle? No, he is in a battle with Zane Smith for fourth, and then Hocevar and Stewart Friesen for sixth. Mini battles up front as this final stage. Getting good, Adam.
Someone remind him, we're at halfway.
Yeah.
Not halfway through the final lap. The racing has been outstanding as John Hunter Nemechek puts it back on the point.
John Hunter Nemechek back out in front by a couple of truck lengths, and Jack Wood slow on the bottom. Looks like he got into the wall, and we have a caution.
I think if he could have.
And Jack Wood has come to a stop trying to see where that's at on the track. And back to moving again. Oh, he's coming around turn 3.
You know, unfortunate for him, running 18th, so a very respectable running position, and he finished top 5 in that opening stage. So had a good truck tonight. Did the young driver out of California, and I won't say that'll end his evening, but certainly he'll have a hard time overcoming that damage as we've gone past the halfway point.
And there you see him on the outside of Chase Purdy down the backstretch. Ooh, Purdy just came up and it turned Wood right into the backstretch wall. You wonder if Purdy's spotter just hadn't cleared him and Purdy thought he was clear.
And it was hard from that angle to tell if there just wasn't enough room on the outside for Wood and they made contact, or if Purdy did slide up the racetrack. But the end result, as you see the damage there on the right front, and I think Wood will get back out depending on what the damage is like internally and underneath that race truck. But a tough break for him. Good break for Todd Bodine, who gets the free pass here, I believe. That'll put him back on the lead lap.
Yes, well, Bodine, one of those ones caught up in a single truck accident earlier. We were talking, it looked like significant damage for Bodine. Not enough to take him out, but it'll be interesting now that he's back on the lead lap. What can the wily veteran Todd Bodine do to get back up here with 61 laps to go? Probably about 57, 58, I would think, once we go back to green.
And no pit stops here because everybody's got one set of tires left, and you're not in your window to do it on fuel. So I think everybody stays out here, and you're probably going to wait at least another 10 laps before you make a pit stop.
KBM dominant. John Hunter Nemechek out front here at Vegas. Andrew Gallinger and Adam Alexander. We'll be back to the Camping World Truck Series in Sin City.
Doing it, man. Good stuff. And now we're 60 to go. I mean, now we're starting to get down to it, Andrew.
Yeah.
What do you think? We doing a good job, Leah?
You guys are doing pretty darn good.
Good. This is fun.
Yeah.
You're a bunch of pros.
I can't tell you how odd it is to be doing, like, you know, a race like in this configuration where, like, it seems so laid back, and I'm not doing your job right. I'm just kind of hanging in and adding where I need to, so it's different.
Good different, I hope.
Oh, it's awesome. It's great.
Awesome. I'm having a great time doing
Yeah, this is really cool stuff.
I'm interested to hear Karen's thoughts if she's listening.
Yeah, I wonder if she can. I don't know where all they're running this to down there, but yeah, I don't know. And like I said, we'll figure out like how they do the record or whatever, and then I'll
Okay.
I'll decide and get it from them and figure out the best way to get it to you. So
Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't think they wouldn't allow me to post it, to have it for a professional
yeah,
look.
yeah, I don't know how all that works, but we'll figure that out. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll figure that out. I'll confirm everything before we do anything, so we don't get anybody too ruffling feathers anywhere.
Okay. Yes. It'd be fun if we could make this an annual thing.
Yeah. It would be neat if it worked out that way, for
Yeah.
sure. It's funny. I did the trucks 15 years ago.
And get ready. The Cup Series Pennzoil 400 takes to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Sunday at 3 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. That race is going to be really interesting, Adam. The next-gen car we saw last week at California, that rough surface, how much you have to really manhandle those cars. They're all the same. Everybody on essentially equal playing ground. Now you've got a fairly smooth 1.5-mile track that is the vast majority of the tracks on the Cup schedule. So I think Sunday is likely going to be just as exciting as what we're seeing here tonight and calling for the Truck Series. As we look at the race recap, they saw early on getting loose Chris Rice, then spinning in the end of the wall, Blaine Perkins, and there's the big one. That was Daytona winner Zane Smith against Colby Howard. Also caught up Haley Deegan in that one. You saw Todd Bodine, his trip to 800 NASCAR National Series started difficult with that wreck, but Bodine is back on the lead lap, and then his most recent caution, Jack Wood, pushed up into the wall by Chase Purdy. So that's where we're at right now. 76 of 134 laps in the books. 58 to go here at Las Vegas. We've had 7 leaders, 11 lead changes, 5 cautions for 28 laps. And still you see Kyle Busch, the laps leader. And one of the critical things you were mentioning earlier, Adam, the pit window, 47 as we come to 57 to go, and the green flag. That's going to be interesting. Do we get a green flag pit stop?
Yeah, and it's possible here, right?
Definitely possible, as you see John Hunter Nemechek and Chandler Smith out to the front, along with Zane Smith. The top 3. So Smith, can he go 2 for 2 now? Zane Smith on the year.
We saw that last year. Ben Rhodes won the first 2 races of the year.
And now we see a little bit of Las Vegas I-15 traffic. People rushing to get onto the strip to go gambling is what it looks like out there on the racetrack.
Look at Carson Hocevar in a 42 shooting up the middle. Ryan Priest starting to show off what he's got, and Tanner Gray in the 15 getting on that outside lane.
Ooh. Kraus, it looked like, got up very close to the wall, was able to keep it in check. And going from the top to the bottom, you saw Ryan Priest. As there we've got Ben Rhodes continuing to march in the outside lane.
Ben Rhodes has been impressive tonight because twice they played strategy to put themselves in position to win a stage. They won the first 2 stages, but consequently had to restart deep in the field on the next stage. Each time he's made it work, and now here we are, plenty of time left, over 50 remaining, and he finds himself solidly back in the top 10. He's got a fast truck tonight.
That he does, but who, in your opinion, Adam, from what you've seen so far tonight, is going to be the team or driver to be the biggest challenge to that KBM trio?
I like Zane Smith, and the fact that they've been able to hang around tells me they've got that damage repaired. He's in a good place. He established himself early as a very fast truck. I do like Ben Rhodes here. He's up to 8th. And I would also say experience means something. Ryan Preece is up there in 7th. I think he's got a strong horse as well. But let's face it, it's going to be very difficult to overcome this freight train at the front that's led by KBM.
And you look back there in 7th, Ryan Preece, 1.8 seconds back. You mentioned earlier, Adam, Ryan Preece in his first career truck race won at Nashville, 1.5 miles, but very different. Nashville Super Speedway to here at Las Vegas. Nashville concrete, here asphalt. So just because it's 1.5 mile track doesn't mean that it's going to equate as we go throughout the rest of the season.
Well, and I just think he's a good race car driver, right? And I think that's what makes him effective in a race like this.
That's definitely the case. You saw Preece coming down here from the Cup Series. As you see a little bit of tape blowing in the wind on the Zane Smith truck.
I wonder if that repair is going to hold up. You know, it was in a pretty good place for a while, and that concerns me a little bit, flapping in the wind as Ben Rhodes gets another spot.
Yeah. But you got to think, too, Adam, we saw earlier the contact between Ty Majeski and John Hunter Nemechek. It was enough to rub the lettering off of that left rear tire. Apparently, at that point, it wasn't enough that fender damage was an issue, but it just goes to show these trucks, they're tough, they can take a lot, but you never know.
Well, and we've seen that historically in the truck series. We know things are going to get physical when we go racing on a Friday night.
And they'll continue as we go to break here at Las Vegas. Andrew Gallinger and Adam Alexander.
Good stuff. So we got, we're down to 49 to go now. Look at Crafton. You know, you mentioned he got up to 23rd, hasn't done much. Bodine's picked up 4 spots since getting back on the lead lap. Not a lot changing now.
No.
I feel like Kyle Busch is messing with him. You need to get you some of this? Huh? You need to get you some of this?
Yeah. This is awesome. Yeah. I don't think I've done so awesome that you won't invite me back, right, Adam?
That's right. That's right. But you're not ready to throw me out yet, are you, Andrew? You're not going to push me aside yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
That Tate Fogelman's been kind of quiet, hasn't he?
Yeah.
DiBenedetto's been pretty quiet.
If Chris Wright, Lawless Allen, not much from either of them.
Yeah.
But you gotta really expect when you come to these 1.5 miles, KBM, the team to beat.
No doubt. I mean, they've been incredible, right? Surprising they didn't win a stage. I mean, that's, but that was all related to strategy, really. But
yeah, Thor Sport with the stages, but then you got KBM with the overall dominance and laps led as we've got caution.
Oh, look who it is.
Oh. Cool.
So they're in the window now.
Yep.
These are big pit stops.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Under our 6th caution, Todd Bodine spun it back around out of turn number 4 and into the wall in his quest for 800 starts. As we've got big pit stops happening, Adam Alexander.
These are huge because this will likely be it for the night. So this is your last chance to gain a spot on pit road and establish some track position for what will be a huge restart with right around 40 laps remaining.
And here you see the onboard with Chandler Smith coming out of the pits. Let's wait and see when it cycles around.
And I saw a tire get away down on the pit lane, rolled out to the grass. So we'll definitely get a penalty here.
KBM looks to be the top 3 coming out. John Hunter Nemechek, Kyle Busch, and Chandler Smith.
You know, you got Christian Eckes up there, won this race last September. Ben Rhodes, who comes off in the top 5, that will have some really good track position.
Yep, here's the replay once again. Todd Bodine just looped it around out of turn 4. This time, though, I think the damage he had from his previous spin and hit to the turn 4 wall impacted that.
You know, so he was able to get back on the lead lap, got to free pass after that earlier caution. Drove it up inside the top 25, and then boom, spins again. And Todd has once again lost a lap, so he's going to have to hope for some really good fortune in the last 40 laps to make something out of tonight.
And one of the guys that was part of the storylines coming in, Matt Crafton, only up to 21st. Surprising that he's been mired in the pack all night. Got knocked out after a crash 2 weeks ago in the season opener at Daytona. Still running, but not the run we're accustomed to seeing from the ThorSport driver and previous series champion. As there you see Matt Crafton in his ThorSport Toyota.
And Zane Smith penalized on this cycle of pit stops. So the one thing he had going for him is that he was able to regain some of that track position. You get the penalty here for the tire that gets away. Now you got to start at the rear. Your truck's a little beat up. You know, this is going to be a big challenge to overcome for the guy that won the season opener at Daytona.
It is definitely, and here we see the choose role, potentially the most important moment of this race. Coming to 41 to go. These guys choose. Let's see what they do. Outside, out, inside, then outside. Kyle Busch. On the outside, John Hunter Nemechek. So Zane Smith will be the odd man out.
How about that?
Chandler Smith, excuse me.
Yeah, Chandler Smith, the other teammate. You know, Derek Kraus is a driver that we've not talked a lot about tonight, but his average running position is gotten better and better. He chooses the inside lane. With that, gains a spot. And after the penalty, knowing that he's going to lose all the track position, Zane Smith is elected to come down pit road. They're going to get some more tape on the front right of that race truck, and that hopefully will help him manage things as he drops back in the field.
And hopefully not a huge detriment for Zane Smith, knowing that he has that win 2 weeks ago in the season opener at Daytona, knowing he'll be in the playoffs come the fall for the Camping World Truck Series. Kyle Busch Motorsports, the winners in 2020 and 2021. KBM has been dominant in recent years here in the Truck Series. Adam, as we come to 40 to go, you think we're going to continue to see calamity as the pace truck pulls off?
I think this restart will go a long way in deciding how this race ends. Can we keep it clean here? And if we do, I think we got a chance to be pretty clean the rest of the way. This restart going to go a long way in telling the story of the rest of this race.
John Hunter Nemechek and Chandler Smith, it looks like Busch and Nemechek, the better pushers on the bottom. Busch drifts up a little bit. Now it's Chandler Smith and Nemechek, and there you see Ben Rhodes and Christian Eckes trying to move their way up into this lead bunch.
Christian Eckes, nice assist to Chandler Smith, pushing the 18 to the lead.
Eckes on the outside. Can he stay with the 18? Now the 18 pulls down. And there's Ty Majeski, Derek Kraus, Grant Infinger in the 23, and Matt DiBenedetto in the 25.
Grant Infinger, another driver that's been quiet tonight that's making some moves late.
And there you see John Hunter Nemechek against the swarm of ThorSport trying to hold him off, and Nemechek gets loose up the track out of 2. Nemechek losing a bunch of positions.
Well, it's such a momentum racetrack, and anytime you get underneath another vehicle, that can go a long way in pulling you around.
Hocevar loose.
And he was about to save it.
Hocevar about saved it. Oof. Into the grass. Caution is out.
I think he was going to save it if not for the contact.
Definitely, and that contact looked like the 25 of Matt DiBenedetto. Carson Hocevar up towards the front, now going to be at the back. And you got to think about it, Adam. A lot of these guys took tires. Does Hocevar have any more left?
I'm going to guess no, he doesn't. Now, the one option that they would have here is to come down and put on some scuffs from earlier in the race. But I'm going to guess at this point, based on the allotments they were given to begin this race, that no one's got any tires left in the pits.
And the way things are going, the way they have been going with the trends, you think some of these crew chiefs are kicking themselves right now for not being even more conservative?
Well, and that's the most difficult thing at this level is we look at the replay.
Yeah.
Oh, man, big block there.
Hocevar blocked by Busch and taken 3 wide. And
Yeah, we talked about how dangerous it is to be on the inside because that back end will come around.
Yeah.
Nemechek gets the run. It pulls Hocevar around, and just when it looks like he's going to save it, a little contact there with Priest, and he's into the infield grass.
And it didn't look like there's a lot of front-end damage, but with how aero-sensitive these trucks are and how much of an aero-dependent racetrack this 1.5 miles is, especially that last dig into the grass that we just saw, it'll be interesting to see if that's enough to be even more to mess up Hocevar's run on top of the already issue with tires. Is there we see a few trucks coming down the pit lane, but will it just be a 2-tire stop or maybe fuel only?
Well, and I think in the case of Hocevar, you got to make sure you clean up that grill, right? And these are going to be some old scuffed tires they're putting on. Likely he flat spotted the ones he had on. And you see all that mud in the grill from sliding through the grass. I think they'll clean that up as well so he doesn't overheat in the latter stages of this race.
They see them doing exactly that. Now the hosts of our crew working on pulling out the left front fender, taking the needed time to work on these trucks.
And they'll manage that time. He'll stay on the lead lap. You talked about the fact he didn't get a ton of damage, and you know who probably really hated to see this crash right here, Andrew? The guy that paints all the logos on the infield, because here we are, 40 laps to go, and he thinks, all right, race is going to end soon. I can go home, have a cold one, some pizza. And now he's calling his wife, and he's saying, it's going to be a late night. I got to get to paint out, He's the big loser in this exchange, I believe.
Yeah, and if we're seeing all that tonight, how upset is he going to be at the end of the Xfinity race tomorrow night?
He's going to call in sick, I believe. That's my prediction.
34 laps to go here at Las Vegas. A wild night. 7 cautions for 35 laps. 8 leaders on the night with 14 lead changes. Kyle Busch, the fastest lap, with 178.05 miles an hour. Stuart Friesen, 0.04 of a second behind in the speed numbers. There's a pits are open now for anybody that wants to come in and top off. 34 to go. Christian Eckes, 5 starts at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 1 win, that being in last fall. Eckes, one of those that we've seen come from the back, currently second. He was as low as 28 earlier in the race.
Well, if you go back to the stat that we had earlier, and the laps led in this race last year by the eventual winner, John Hunter Nemechek, 94. Christian Eckes, when he won here in the fall, he only led 4 laps. So it just goes to show you don't have to dominate. You don't have to win stages. You just have to be there at the end. And here we are. We're going to get a restart with 30 laps to go, and Eckes right up front. He's got a chance.
Chandler Smith, leader of 9 of these 100 laps. As they come to the choose cone, let's see. Chandler Smith outside. Eckes. And it's going to be Kyle Busch Motorsports all on the outside. Smith, Busch, Nemechek, and you've got Kyle Busch's brother on the main broadcast for FS1. So,
it's funny. He did this race with us last year in the Xfinity Series. It was Kurt and Brad Keselowski, so he's no stranger to the broadcast booth here in his hometown. Of course, had that dramatic win here at Las Vegas a couple of years ago in the playoffs in the Cup car. This is going to be fun to watch on a restart, Andrew. Chandler Smith takes the outside lane. He's got his teammates behind him, Kyle Busch, John Hunter Nemechek, so they'll work together. Inside lane, Christian Eckes, Ben Rhodes, they are teammates. And behind them, they've got Grant Enfinger, who, although he's not a team truck, he used to drive for ThorSport. So there's a lot of opportunities to work together here on this restart.
Yeah, there is. And then you've got Tanner Gray, Stuart Friesen, Ty Majeski back there, row 4 and row 5. Are they going to be able to pull up and make something happen in these final 32 laps when we go back to greens? There you see Todd Bodine getting ready for this restart. Pace truck pulls off. Chandler Smith on the outside coming to the restart zone. Christian Eckes on the inside. We are back underway here in Las Vegas. ThorSport not able to do much in the pushing department was Ben Rhodes against Christian Eckes. Not initially was KBM either, but now you've got Kyle Busch pushing Smith on the outside.
Look at Derek Kraus. Man, he's pushed the right buttons a lot tonight.
Kraus making a move on the outside. Here comes the 66, contact and turned. Getting turned that time, the 99, Ben Rhodes. And we got a caution. Rhodes stuck up against the wall here on the front stretch.
So hard to get it sorted out on these restarts. And the margin for error is like zero. Good news is the window net is down. It might take him a little bit of time to get out of that truck because of the way it's situated against the outside wall. But seeing a lot of movement inside the cockpit of that race vehicle, and it would appear that Ben's okay.
And that always a good sign. We see the AMR safety team there quickly to attend to Ben Rhodes. Man, you hate it for Ben Rhodes. I was having such a good night. And there you see Ty Majeski, the one that hooked him on pit road for a check of his damage. Doesn't look like to us. From the camera view we can see is there you see Ben Rhodes climbing out of his mangled 99 ThorSport truck.
Well, this is what's great about stage racing. He wins stage 1, stage 2. So he collects 20 points. Even though he's not going to finish the race, he'll have a decent points night. So that I know Ben's not happy. And when he watches the tape and he sees how that unfolded, he's really going to be disappointed. But in the big picture, he's not going to pay an enormous penalty tonight for the bad finish he's going to have when the night is done.
Which is going to be really good for him. But then you see, take a look at that. Matt Crafton up to 11th now as we see the replay of what happened. Looks like Majeski just came down and hooked Rhodes in the right rear.
Well, that was scary. Those rear tires getting
Came
off
up
the ground.
just a little bit, yeah. Oh,
Ooh.
Did Ben Rhodes have to check up? It looked a little bit like maybe that was the case.
I'm just glad that truck didn't go over.
You were on a pretty wild call a couple weeks ago, Adam, with Myatt Snyder in the Xfinity Series. Same thing, getting hooked to the right at Daytona. As there you see the live action replay. But in Myatt's case, as you see another angle of this, Myatt's crash was a violent one in the Xfinity Series at Daytona a couple weeks ago.
Well, you never want to see someone go over. You don't want to see him, get off the ground. And in the case of Myatt Snyder, not only did he get turned upside down, but he gets lifted, up off the ground. He was up above the safer barrier. So you're talking 4 or 5 feet in the air. He's thrown up into the catch fence, tumbling through the catch fence. The one thing a driver never wants is to lose control. And there's a certain degree that you give up when it comes to control when you go out and you're driving around 35, 40 other vehicles. But when you get thrown through the air, you are just at the mercy of those around you and whatever circumstances play out. And we were really fortunate at Daytona that even though the crash was very scary for Myatt, that it didn't end up any worse than it was. And really, probably 24, 48 hours after the crash, I'd say 48 hours, he was released by doctors to race last weekend in California. So he was banged up, but not near as bad as it could have been, and we were all thankful for that on that Saturday night.
A testament to the safety of all of these NASCAR race vehicles to take a door hit like that, even get just a little bit up in the air that Ben Rhodes did. A door hit, and he got out under his own power, walked to the ambulance. Good on NASCAR for all of the safety implementations they've made over the years. And there you see Ty Majeski back out on track in the 66. Didn't look like there was a lot of damage for Majeski. Now back to the 27th position after having to pit. So we get down at him. Now we're going to be inside of one of the initial stages. Probably 26 or so laps to go when we go back to green. Your thoughts on what we're going to see in these final handful of laps?
It's hard for me to imagine that anybody does something with the top three. Let's listen to what Chandler Smith has to say here.
Chandler Smith on with the main broadcast of Fox.
I think when you go deeper than those top three, the guys from KBM,
There you see Chandler Smith on with Michael Waltrip in the main Fox Sports 1 broadcast. And you heard him mention, Adam, it's hard to get away in these trucks. We've known for years, even back when you were a pit reporter in 06 and 07 for these trucks. They sucked the big hole into the air. Let's see what happens. Chandler Smith out front, late in the going here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Andrew Gallinger and Adam Alexander. We'll be back. This is Trucks on FS1.
All right, crunch time. Here we go. How's everybody doing? Hey, don't tell the guys next door they're actually taking our feedback, okay? Let's just keep that in here, all right, guys? We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, all right? Let's just leave here, let everyone be happy. I'm sure eventually they'll figure it out, but let's try to keep that for down the road, all right? Tonight I'm a color analyst with Andrew Gallinger. I could only wish I could have been a color analyst when T. Free was playing football for those Houston Cougars, you know? That's right. Here he is back to pass. He's under duress. He goes down. T. Free. Another sack. His fourth of the day. How about a scoop and score for the big fella? Huh? That's right. Exactly. He's down. He's down. This is not a celebration. He's hurt. He's out. Look at that. What do we got here? Yikes.
Campfire. Not often do you need one of those in Las Vegas. 26 to go here in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Las Vegas. Andrew Gallinger and Adam Alexander with you. Adam, this has been a race filled with calamity, but then dominated by these 3 KBM trucks up front. We've seen the expected domination of KBM that we expected coming into tonight, but I don't know that we expected all the calamity that we've seen tonight.
Well, 8 cautions, and as we know, cautions breed cautions, and we've still got more than 25 laps to go. But going back to what you said in regard to KBM, they're running 1, 2, 3 right now. Kyle Busch has led 28 laps. Nemechek has led 23. Chandler Smith has led 16. So they really have dominated the night statistically. Here's the big thing for me. If you're Chandler Smith, be careful how much you show on the restart, because there's likely going to be others, and you don't want to play all your cards right here, you know?
No, and there we see Matt Crafton, who got damage early. First time we've really touched on him today. Started 7th. Now Crafton up to 11th. Can he get back into it? Just has a few door dings. But the way things have been going, we have seen a lot of guys do a lot with a lot less so far tonight. As there we see Ben Rhodes being interviewed by Regan Smith, your colleague at Fox, and it's got to be tough for Ben Rhodes after such a dominant night.
He looks frustrated. I'm going to analyze body language here. We can't hear what he's saying. He looks frustrated, but he didn't appear to be overly angry with this move. Boy, it's hard to look the other way on what happened there, isn't it? I mean, it does feel like Ty Majeski comes down and gets him.
Yeah, it looks very obvious that he comes down and gets him, but what this angle we're seeing right now doesn't show, did Rhodes have to let off? Getting into that 3-wide situation, coming off of 4, and was it both guys just going for the same piece of real estate and only one of them could come out of it?
Hey, I've enjoyed working with you tonight, Andrew, but I don't enjoy having to decide from an analyst perspective what happens on those. That's where I like being the host, and I don't have to be the bad guy. I can throw it up to the analysts and let them be the bad guy because they know better than me. Uh-oh. Chandler Smith goes to the outside and loses his dancing partner. Kyle Busch goes to the inside.
And that's going to be interesting. We've seen, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Am, this has been the first time we've seen Kyle Busch be the one being pushed by a KBM teammate on the restart. So far it's been Kyle Busch being the pusher for either Chandler Smith or John Hunter Nemechek.
Well, you don't win over 60 races in your career and over 200 NASCAR races across the top 3 series by always being an assist man. Sometimes you want to be the guy with the ball in your hands. Kyle Busch said, all right, enough of Mr. Nice Guy. 20 laps to go. Here, I'm going to put on a show.
Yeah, going back to both of our football careers, you want to be the running back with the ball, just plowing through the offensive line into the end zone. Let's see if Kyle Busch is the one to be the ball hawk in these final 23 laps and keeping KBM with their domination out front. On board there with Chandler Smith as they come around to get the green. And Chandler Smith quickly gets off.
Now, I would say it's possible that this is a team thing, right? Let Chandler go in the outside lane, pull down in front of Kyle, and there was some teamwork that went into that restart.
The way Kyle laid back, you got to think that that's what happened, because he laid back enough. He obviously didn't spin his tires. So you're right, Adam. That's very likely what happened.
But the other truck in the outside lane, Christian Eckes, comes through, breaks up the KBM juggernaut. He's second now.
And Grant Enfinger now up to fourth. Derek Kraus sixth, Ryan Priest seventh.
Zane Smith back in the top 10. Matt Crafton with that beat-up Toyota trying to get a top 10 finish out of this.
That'll be a good rebound for Crafton after a difficult Daytona that we've talked about. Crafton making his 500th series start. Would that be awesome for the champion from ThorSport Racing to get a top 10 in his 500th start? As there we see action, Enfinger around the outside of Nemechek out of turn 2.
It's not been a good restart for John Hunter Nemechek. It's been very good for Zane Smith, who is now up to 8th in the running order.
And Zane Smith was earlier out front. It'll be interesting to see as we get our Camping World 20 to go. Can Zane Smith come to the front and make it 2 for 2 in 2022? Zane Smith, Derek Kraus. Smith getting around the 19. Kraus not able to make the slide job. There's Grant Enfinger on the outside of John Hunter Nemechek.
You see those guys get side by side and what that did for Ryan Priest. He explodes in behind him after they cut that big hole in the air.
Yeah. And that's amazing to think those giant tailgates cut such a big hole in the air. You can be a couple truck lengths back, I believe, on the backstretch, and then by the time you get around to the start-finish line, if you have enough of a run out of the corner, you might be able to be there as we see action going into one.
I think the big run and the momentum caught Derek Kraus off guard. He about got into the back end of Zane Smith. He just did not anticipate how much momentum he was going to have.
Again, Zane Smith into the back of Derek Kraus. As we come to 17 to go, we are going to take a commercial break. Andrew Gallinger and Adam Alexander from Las Vegas for the Truck Series. This is getting exciting. Stay with us.
All right, that's probably our last break unless we get a caution. I'm no producer. I'm just guessing. Crafton for what is this is to get back in the top 10. He had fallen to 11th again. Wow, this has been something.
Yeah.
What time was the green flag tonight? Do you remember what time we went green? 6:15?
6:15.
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't get and there's a caution. There's a caution.
That when Chris Wright again, he brought out the first caution.
Now we're going to have, we'll get a restart here with what, about 12 to go? Just over 10 to go. All right, we're doing it.
No tires left for anybody. You got what you got. Probably around 10 to go. This is going to be a wild shootout to the finish. And there's the way we've seen things, no guarantee that this is the last caution.
I would say you'll see something similar here, too, on the restart, where Chandler Smith takes the outside, Kyle Busch takes the inside, and then he slides down in front of him. That would be my guess. Wow, overheating.
Oh.
Here it is. There it goes. That was big.
Yeah. Ah.
Interesting.
And we're
Whoa.
we're still a commercial, right?
I guess. I don't know. I'd just pick up whenever you're ready.
All right. Welcome back into Las Vegas, everybody. There's a lot of drama, and I'm not talking at the blackjack table, Adam Alexander. A lot of drama here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. You had a second single truck spin tonight by the 44 of Chris Wright. But under caution, a potential problem with the leader. Trash on his grill.
Chandler Smith pulls up behind the pace truck, gets the tear off that was on his grill to blow off, so he's not going to overheat. And interesting when it comes to the choose, instead of Chandler Smith taking the outside lane, Kyle Busch taking the inside lane and working together as teammates where Chandler pulls down, all the KBM trucks take the outside lane, so they'll line up 1, 2, 3, and they'll have plenty of opportunity to work together. Restart coming with 11 laps to go.
But Adam, come on, it's late in the race. Do you really think these competitive KBM guys are going to work together? I personally don't think so. Well, we'll see what happens as they come to the Geico restart zone. We are green. 11 laps to go in the Truck Series in Sin City.
A great start by Christian Eckes in that inside lane, getting a push from Ryan Preece.
And here comes Kyle Busch on the outside. 3 wide. Busch, Chandler Smith, Derek Kraus.
Look at him, 3 wide, 4 wide in places.
Grant Enfinger on the bottom in that yellow and black truck. In the middle there, in the blue, Stuart Friesen. Below Friesen, Matt DiBenedetto. 10th and 11th, Matt Crafton back in 12th. Eckes in front on the bottom. Here comes Kyle Busch. Can't he make a move as we see 3 wide behind him. Enfinger, Kraus, Nemechek. They get it sorted out as we are coming now to 9 laps to go.
Christian Eckes doing a really good job of managing the lead. You got to look out your mirror. You got to make sure you block in the right scenario. Takes the high side here, and the momentum going to keep him out front.
Here comes Busch, but he turns him. Busch turns him. Christian Eckes spun into the wall. Goes back into the track. Slight contact with one truck that looked like he made contact with Dean Thompson. And Christian Eckes all torn up. His good night is over, Adam Alexander.
He was trying to win 2 in a row here at Las Vegas. And he's racing one of the best ever, the all-time leader in the series. There was contact. Eckes lucky he didn't hit that inside wall harder. Even more fortunate that he didn't collect other trucks as he went back up on the racetrack. And as you said, his night is done with heavy damage. He won't win here this evening. He's got to be terribly upset.
Yes, he does. And you see the way the crew is working on that truck. I think their body language says with 8 laps to go, that truck is done. But there you see, Kyle Busch out front as expected. But who's in second? Ryan Preece. And here, let's see what happened. Eckes on the outside, Busch inside through 1. Looked like Eckes was fine, and then,
It's tough to tell from that angle. This will show it a little better, I think.
Eckes came down to block.
Big time. Yep.
And Busch was just already there.
You know, Eckes had gotten himself out in front of Kyle off of turn 2, and it looked like he was going to be able to make it work. And here he slides down to block, and he's just not clear. And really, you know the way the fans react to Kyle Busch. We know where most are going to point the finger in this situation. I'm not sure at 180 miles per hour how he could have done anything different there.
As we see the onboard from Busch's teammate Chandler Smith. This time, I think you got to lay this one at the feet of Eckes.
Hey, and you get it, right? I mean, and sometimes the spotter might not clear you, but as a driver, you know you got to go for it. And regardless, at the end of the night, Christian Eckes is going to be disappointed because you're leading inside of 10 to go. You got a chance to beat Kyle Busch. You got a chance to win your second in a row at this place. To win this early in the season means so much to any driver. I think when he watches the replay, he's going to realize he just wasn't clear when he came down. And now the question becomes, can anybody handle Kyle Busch on this restart? You mentioned Ryan Preece, who's as good as he's been all night long. And I wouldn't write off Zane Smith, the Daytona winner, who continues to fight back. Every time you looked up, he's picked up another position or 2. He's in the hunt. And then back behind those guys, Chandler Smith and John Hunter Nemechek, the other teammates from KBM.
Yeah, I'm going that route. I know. as broadcasters, we're supposed to be neutral, not root for any drivers, but it'd be cool to see Zane Smith. Great kid, fought hard to get where he is. Go 2 for 2 this year to start the year. But Kyle Busch, as dominant as he has been, he's led 30 laps tonight on 4 different occasions. Chandler Smith, his teammate in 4th, also at 30 laps on 3 different occasions. But at this point, with all the calamity we've seen tonight, Adam, in these final 4 laps that we might have of green flag racing, potentially, this race is still wide open, and there's no guarantee that we won't have any more than these potential final 4 laps.
Well, we get another caution now, and you're going to be looking at an overtime for sure. And I got to believe what I'm seeing here, that Ryan Preece is stating his case to NASCAR that he believes he should be the race leader. He has not done anything but ride out next to Kyle Busch. And I think that's an indication that he feels like he should be in the lead. And we'll see what NASCAR rules here. There's Chad Johnston, the crew chief for Ryan Preece, who you may remember had success at the Cup level and won races. I believe won a Cup race at Sonoma with Martin Truex Jr. When Michael Waltrip was owning teams. So Chad Johnston's had a lot of success as a crew chief. Worked with Kyle Larson.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but also been successful with Tony Stewart.
Yep, spent some time with Tony. Yep.
At the Cup level. And we've talked about these drivers a lot, but then you look at the crew chiefs and the spotters even now coming down here that you see in the truck series. Former Cup spotter for Jimmy Johnson, Eddie DeHaan, the spotter for Tyler Ankrum, Tab Boyd, Chris Wright's spotter, former spotter for Joey Logano and
William Byron. Well, the choose rule here is going to be interesting because throughout the night, KBM's been running 1-2-3 or 1-2-4, and it's been very easy for them to put themselves in a position to work together when it comes to deciding which lane you restart in. Now they're 1st, 3rd, and 4th. I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do as much, although depending on what Zane Smith does here, these KBM trucks could partner together and have a real shot to go out and take over and win this race like and really finish the job. As you pointed out, they have dominated when you look at the laps led. And all 3 of them go to the high side.
All 3 outside. And from what we've seen, Adam, it's starting to get to the point where sounds like something electrical going on for, I think that was Tanner Gray.
Yeah, it could be because he's lined up. And we heard on the radio they wanted him lined up behind the 4 of John Hunter Nemechek, and that's who's back there. So you assume all 3 KBM trucks in the outside lane, so they will be able to work together. But those Fords down on the inside, you got Zane Smith, you got Ryan Preece. We'll see if they can make something happen. And we're only going to have 3 laps to go.
Yeah. From what you've seen tonight, Adam, which lane would you want to be in with such a short sprint? Got a preference in where you'd want to be?
A good portion of that is going to be who's behind you, but I think universally, typically, you take the outside lane because if you can get the run off turn 2, you've got that momentum, and Kyle Busch going to have his teammates behind him. I think they're in a real good spot here.
Pace truck is off, coming to 3 to go. Will this be the final restart of the night? Let's see. We are back to green. Chandler Smith with a good push on leader Kyle Busch on the outside. But here comes the inside. Zane Smith, Ryan Preece. Zane Smith to the point in Vegas.
What a push by
Wow.
Ryan Preece.
Kyle Busch stuck in the middle. Contact. Derek Kraus gets loose. Coming to 2 to go. Zane Smith all by himself. And we've got a traffic jam behind him. The KBM trucks now side by side for second, third, and fourth. Now they're in the line. Will they stay there? Contact! Derek Kraus contacted into the wall. We stay green.
No caution yet.
No
Coming back to
caution
the
yet.
white flag.
Coming to the white. Chandler Smith with the lead at the white. Next flag ends the race. Be it the caution or the checkered. Chandler Smith loses ground. Zane Smith. Now it's the crossover by Chandler. Chandler Smith to the bottom. Again, Zane Smith. KBM to the front. Chandler Smith. At a turn 4. Coming to the checkered flag. Chandler Smith for KBM. Kyle Busch Motorsports and Chandler Smith wins it. What a finish. And we expected it. KBM dominant. They pull it off. Chandler Smith wins the Victoria's Voice Foundation 200 here from Las Vegas.
Wow, look at the truck of John Hunter Nemechek.
John Hunter Nemechek is all mangled. Taking a look at the leaderboard, it shows John Hunter Nemechek back in 26th.
Hey, you got to give a lot of credit to Chandler Smith because he was in a lot of different situations in this race. Inside lane, outside lane. He was a pusher. He was starting out front. He had to manage a lot of different circumstances for a young driver to be put in so many difficult places and to find his way to the front and win. That says a lot about his ability as a driver.
That it does, and showing this type of domination as a team, Kyle Busch is not going to be in a lot of these races moving forward. So you got to think this was an extremely valuable night to learn for guys like John Hunter Nemechek and especially the victor tonight, Chandler Smith.
Big statement. Wins a couple of times last fall, kind of introduces himself to success at this level, and then boom, win a race like this against the guys he's competing against. That's a big-time statement from Chandler Smith.
Big-time statement for the Truck Series this year in 2022. First 2 races, young winners. Zane Smith at Daytona, Chandler Smith here at Vegas. I bet these truck guys are disappointed that they're not going to Vegas next week. They got another week to wait. I think next time these trucks will be back on track is Martinsville.
Actually, they go to Atlanta in 2 weeks. They'll be
okay.
Atlanta. Look at Kyle Busch. Finished third tonight, led the most laps, 33 laps out front.
And there you see Chandler Smith excited, running up here to the start finish to get the checkered flag. And Chandler Smith getting ready for the winner's interview on the front stretch with Regan Smith of Fox Sports. Matt DiBenedetto came home 7th. Matt Crafton 8th. Ultimately, strong finishes for those two. Just goes to show, doesn't matter what happens as long as you're happy with your result. And Crafton and DiBenedetto Chandler Smith, the victor in Vegas. We saw him there on that replay while being interviewed by Josh Sims. Gets Zane Smith loose, and here's Zane Smith with Regan Smith.
Yeah, we're not hearing this interview much, but, Zane's smiling. You usually can't be happy about second, and he was so close to winning. But when you consider how beat up he got tonight, heck of a job to come back and finish second.
Yeah, definite, considering that he was especially caught up in that early big one on that restart. And then to be able to battle back, and you hate to see him passed after contact, but that's how it goes at the end of these races. It bodes well for an exciting 2022 season in the Camping World Truck Series. And before we go off air, Adam, let's touch on what are you looking for in Saturday's Xfinity and then Sunday with the Cup Series?
Well, I think for Saturday, the question becomes, can Colleague win their first race of the year? They've been unbelievable in qualifying, winning poles in the first 3 races. How can they answer the bell in race trim, right? They haven't been quite as good. They've been very close. AJ almost got it done at Daytona. We saw how good Daniel Hemrick was down there winning the stages. I think perhaps they have their day tomorrow. When it comes to Sunday, the one guy I'm watching is Kyle Larson. I think you look at the place where he won for the first time in that 5 car last year right here at Las Vegas, and went on to win 10 times. He's already won now this season, getting it done last Sunday in California. Can he win back-to-back races and reestablish himself once again as a major championship favorite? I think it'll be fun to watch. And beyond Kyle, what does the racing look like here with the next-gen car? You and I talked about this. Very, very entertaining at California. This a different type of layout, different type of surface. Does that racing translate to this place like it did last week? I think it'll be interesting to see what happens here on Sunday.
And looking at the next-gen cars, everybody's in something that's so much similar now. So you and I were talking off air earlier today, the parity with the Cup Series.
Well, I mean, look at Tyler Reddick and what he did last week. Eric Jones, Daniel Hemrick. I mean, there's a lot of drivers that you wouldn't have put in the mix to be finishing inside the top 10, leading laps, qualifying up front. Does that continue? I hope it does. I think the parity's great for the sport, and we'll find out here in practice and qualifying tomorrow, but more importantly, Sunday in the race.
That's going to be exciting. And your final thoughts on tonight's broadcast, Adam? I'll say from my perspective, first call of a professional event. This was outstanding. Will you have me back to join you?
Absolutely. You did a great job. The racing was outstanding on track, but you were awesome in the booth. I enjoyed the time, Andrew.
Thank you. I sure did too. This was cool to just have it be a laid back broadcast. A lot like 2 friends would talk about it on the couch normally watching.
That's right.
Watching these races, we were doing that. We just happened to have a job to do while we were sitting back and enjoying.
No question, it was a great night.
Yes, it was. So Chandler Smith victorious in Las Vegas. For Adam Alexander, I am Andrew Gallinger. Thanks for joining us tonight from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Chandler Smith victorious for KBM and Kyle Busch. What'll happen as the weekend in Las Vegas for 2022 continues? It'll be exciting. Stay tuned for much more this weekend. We got Cup practice and qualifying tomorrow, followed by race day and then Xfinity with you, Adam. Enjoy that one. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. Chandler Smith, victorious Camping World Truck Series from Las Vegas. Next time out for them, March 19th in Atlanta. Congratulations to Chandler Smith, cashing in Sin City.
All right, you did it, Andrew. Good job, man. take this stuff with you. Let's
Yeah.
package this up. This might be good for you to